Hey guys, it's Dasnia. So right now we're in quarantine because of the coronavirus. So I thought this is the perfect time to binge watch some incredible movies. I've put together a list of 6 movies that I highly recommend. They are not only entertaining, but also inspirational and educating. This is just part 1, so I'll talk about the first 3 movies in this video. The meanings can fly right over your head, but without spoiling, I wanted to inspire you, see what I did there, to watch these inspiring and educating movies. So if binge watching movies is how you want to spend your quarantine and you just want to make it a little bit more meaningful, then keep on watching. So I just want to say about The Joker, this movie is not for everyone. It's very sad and very violent, and it may be very painful to watch if you yourself have gone through what the main character went through, which is a lifetime of trauma. In this movie, you see the traumatic life of Arthur Fleck before he becomes the Joker. You watch him suffer physically and psychologically from childhood all the way to adulthood, and by watching this, I personally became more aware of how much it relates to real life, in a sense that when you put someone through pain, whether that's through bullying, harassment, abuse, shame, guilt trips, neglect, or the million other things, it can influence that person to become dark and evil themselves. So maybe they will seek revenge, maybe they will become a bully or an abuser, or even worse. Also, constantly facing rejection or not even being acknowledged as a human being, it can cause people to grow insecurity and hate, and also lose reason for kindness. Losing control over that pain is what created the darkness in Arthur. As it's famously known, hate is not inherited, it is shaped into you. And this movie exposes you to this new perspective of wrongdoers, which is why they even became that way, why they need violence as an outlet for their pain, and how maybe society continued to hurt them after countless innocent efforts of trying to be kind and worthy of appreciation. What I mean by that is, as we watch Arthur go through all of this oppression, we also witness every attempt he's made to be kind, forgiving, and honest. But because no one even cared about those efforts, he continued to get taken advantage of, beaten up, publicly shamed, and innocently punished. It makes you wonder that maybe this could have been prevented if there were kinder souls in the Joker's life rather than more and more oppressors. So The Joker is educational because it does provide an explanation as to how one transitions into evil rather than just being ignorant and saying, yeah, that person's been a meanie from the start, he was born like this. That's not true. It isn't a justification, but it also doesn't dismiss the fact that some people actually try to stay positive, try to be accepted by society, and get made fun of for things that they can't even help. And yet, sometimes absolutely no one even cares. Again, hatred is shaped into you. Seeing that kind of vulnerability in Arthur is so raw and true, so relatable to anyone who has ever felt even a fraction of that kind of pain and rejection. It's just incredible, and if you watch this movie, you might become more aware of if you may or may not be treating somebody else like this in subtle ways. There would definitely be a lot less people like him if me and you and the next person didn't treat people so harshly. So to wrap it all up, I do recommend that you watch The Joker so that you can get that experience and lesson for yourself. Now, when I first heard of this movie, I really thought it was gonna be some big, gigantic, huge alien bug parasite thing creeping over the world and ready to destroy everybody. But I'm really glad to find out that the movie is nothing like that. I actually think that this movie is quite relatable. So the entire movie is illusion after illusion after illusion about class and wealth. And that includes what kind of person you turn into when you have money in your hands, what kind of view you develop for people that are lower than you, and what unethical lengths you might go to keep your money and status high. In this movie, we see the life of those who are excessively wealthy and those who are desperately in need. I would say that Parasite is inspirational because you see the ugly of being absolutely poor, but also the ugly of being filthy rich. It exposes you to those certain individuals in our society that as they gain money, they gain ego. and they lose humbleness. Or they gain anything they want in quantity while also losing the quality of empathy. They get so comfortable in this lavish life that they grow a blind eye to anyone who is suffering below them. Rather than feeling sorry for them or wanting to help them rise, they are disgusted by their being and go through many lengths to keep them separated. This movie is a great reminder that you should not only be grateful for your privileges, but also giving to those that do not have access to it. It's also a reminder that as you get older and older and more successful, that is not an excuse to treat people financially below you as inferior beings. Because in this movie, they do look at the lower class as a shameful population, rather than genuine people that just didn't have the kind of opportunities and fortunes that others had. Though it does come into question as to who is actually genuine in this movie, because everyone is feeding off of each other, hence the name Parasite, using each other, and each character is ingenuine in some way. But they do that to show the audience just how absurd it is to value people solely on their economic or academic status. We tend to value people who are the smartest or the richest or dress the most lavish, but actually the reality is that has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not they are respectable human beings. And yet we look up to them, we put them on a pedestal anyway. It's all a game, and the movie exposes those flaws in, you know, having that kind of perception on people. There were people in my class who I looked up to, who I really wanted to be friends with just because they were the top 25 of my class of 600. I thought, oh, they're doing life right, I want to be just like them. Oh my gosh, like they're the coolest people in the world. Now, there are a few people up there that I'm genuinely proud of and I respect them. They are good people that happen to be super smart. But for a long time, I was masked from the reality that there are a lot of people up there who are not at all nice people. Sometimes they have the biggest ego in the world, or they pay other students regularly for answers. They make fun of people who don't score as high as them, or they make fun of you for not being as pretty as them. I mean, what the heck is honorable about that? So that's my point, that this is just one of the big ideas that the movie focuses on, which is that class and wealth do not equal respectable people. If you ask me, I think that's pretty inspiring. So why is the movie Us inspirational? I said I wouldn't spoil, so I'm going to be general about this. One idea that the movie touches on is how the whole world is not living happy and easy. Everything you have is at the service and maybe even the suffering of someone else. A real-world, well-known example of this is Forever 21. Lots of people shop there because they give you cheap, cute clothes, but with a simple Google search, you learn that their garment workers earn close to nothing for a wage. I'll go over this quickly and say that according to this article from 2016, these workers were only earning $4 an hour. To put that into perspective, they do not even make $100 until working 25 hours, a full day. Meanwhile, a New York City minimum wage worker can earn $100 in just 7 hours. And so the director Jordan Peele did a wonderful job exposing this darker aspect of society in regards to the fact that many first world privileges, such as cute and cheap clothes, are gained at the sufferings of underserved populations. Getting that exposure through a movie like this was a necessary reminder that you always should be above and beyond grateful for your privileges, and maybe even try to avoid contributing to companies that ethically disadvantage their workers. Adding on to this idea, the movie Us focuses on the value of diminished freedom, and it emphasizes on that by revealing the tethered people, who are a society that has absolutely no control over their own lives and no freedom of choice. In certain countries today, things like marriage and pregnancy become far from beautiful when your freedom of will is limited or even lost. So again, this movie does an incredible job explaining that. There is a quote here, and I made tiny adjustments to it, but it says that there are two versions of humanity. So the beautiful, privileged life that we live in this world, and the oppressed, traumatized, and forgotten, which is our tethered counterparts. I'll credit the website that I got that from in the description box below, but I wanted to include it because it perfectly explains the divide in humans between the privileged and the oppressed, which essentially ties into the idea of classism. Therefore, it is not at all fictional to say that everyone is tethered in the real world, and that is something that you will learn by watching this movie. Hey guys, I just wanted to let you know that my camera died, and that's why we have this ugly lighting. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for watching my video, and if you enjoyed it, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Feel free to comment any movies that you think are inspirational and educational as well. Thank you. Bye!